Hello everyone, myself Devijaya, lecturer in chemistry, working in Indira Priyadarshini Government Degree College for Women, Nampally, and we are discussing coordination compounds. And as of now, we have discussed the valency bond theory, in that salient features of the valency bond theory and how the molecules are forming. So we have discussed through the valency bond theory. Valency bond theory was explains about the how the molecule will form, so how the coordinate covalent bond will form. So as per valency bond theory, the bond between the metal ion and the ligand will be a covalent bond. But here some of the drawbacks are there for the valency bond theory. What are they? Let us see now. So it does not explain the spectra of complexes here. Spectra, what is spectra is, so this is a one of the physical analysis process, so which is used to determine a structure, exact structure of the molecules nowadays. And also, it is unable to explain the color property of the complexes, since most of the coordinate compounds means complexes, they are having a colors, different variety of the colors. But this valency bond theory did not explain about the color property of the complexes. Why they are exhibiting the colors, it does not explain. So the next one is the sum of the metals forms complex compounds of distorted geometries. Already we have seen this copper plus 2 complexes, right? So why it is forming the distorted geometries? Okay, and copper plus 2 complexes with coordination number 4 are forming dsp2 hybridization instead of the sp3 hybridization. So what is the reason for this? Okay, it does not explain uh, by the valency bond theory. And the next one is the next drawback of the valency bond theory is it is unable to predict the relative stability of different ligands. So ligands here, the ligands are having some stabilities, and when they combine with the central metal cation, means when the coordinate covalent bond is forming between the metals and the ligands, this complex will become a more stable, much more stable than its original components actually. But why the stability of these molecules are very high with relative stabilities of the different ligands? That means if the ligands are forming the coordinate covalent bonds with the for example iron, as well as they also forming the same ligands are forming with the coordinate covalent bonds with the nickel or cobalt some other atom. So the relative stabilities will be different. By means here, the by changing the metal ion, central metal ion, the relative stabilities of the ligands will be different. And if the same metal we have taken and a different ligands if we take, and the stability of the complexes are also changing here. So why it is means the relative stabilities are varying here, this could not able to explain. And the next drawback of valency bond theory is it could not explain the temperature dependent paramagnetism. So as of now we know that the any compounds which are having a unpaired electrons, so that unpaired electrons are acts as a magnetic poles, then they are having a spin motion as well as orbital motion, and because of the this motions the magnetism will be emerged, right? So because of presence of unpaired electrons, the compound gets a magnetic behavior, means it turns into a magnetic compound. And when it placed in the external magnetic field, it will be attracted by the external magnetic field. There will be a effect on the this substance by the external magnetic field. But if the temperature increases or decreases, what happens? And what is the diamagnetism here? The diamagnetism is which when it is placed in the external magnetic field, it will be repulsed, right? It will be repulsed or unaffected by the external magnetic field. But here some of the compounds are there, and for them, means diamagnetic compounds, if we increase the temperature, if we provide the temperature to that particular compounds which are diamagnetic, and they will means turn into a paramagnetic compounds. So how it is forming, means how it is converting into a diamagnetism to paramagnetism, this process is called as a temperature dependent paramagnetism. So this valency bond theory could not explain this property of coordination compounds also. And the magnetic values, it is a very important point actually. The magnetic values are differing from experimentally determined values, means theoretically calculated magnetic values are differing from the experimentally determined values. So on this I'm going to do a means I'm going to prepare a one more video. So here when we calculate theoretically in magnetic values, so that is as per the valency bond theory, and how many number of unpaired electrons are there, based on that unpaired electrons we can calculate a magnetic behavior, that is theoretically. But here when the theoretical values are always differing from the experimentally determined magnetic values, magnetic susceptibility values, so why it does not explain. So these are the drawbacks of the valency bond theory. And to explain these drawbacks, means to overcome this theory, means to overcome these drawbacks of the valency bond theory, some advanced theory is there, that is called as the crystal field theory. And this crystal field theory first explained by the Bethe and Van Vliet in the almost in the same time, that means when the valency bond theory was introduced, in that time only this crystal field theory also explained. So crystal field theory, what is the crystal field theory is, according to crystal field theory, the interaction between metals and ligands is 100% ionic. So this is completely different from the valency bond theory. As per valency bond theory, what is as per valency bond theory, the valency bond theory is explained the bond between the metal ion and ligand is a covalent bond, right? Covalent bond as per the valency bond theory. But in crystal field theory, the interaction between, means the bonding is taking place between the metal and the ligand is 100% ionic in nature. Is a ionic attractions are taking place between the central metal cation and the negatively charged species, those are called as ligands. So as per crystal field theory, it is a 100% ionic bond. And how the ionic bonds are the electrostatic forces of attractions. The electrostatic forces of attractions are taking place between the central metal cation, because metal is carrying a positive charge, right? By losing some of the electrons in from its orbitals, so it is carrying a positive charge, and this positive charge is surrounded by a the negatively charged species. The negative charge means the ligand must have one condition, that is it must have a excess of electrons, either in the form of the negative charge, either in the form of the negative charge, or in the form of the lone pair of electrons. Lone pair of electrons. So either in the form of the minus negative charge, or in the form of the lone pair of electrons. So when this means when the ligands are carrying a negative charge in this way, so when they carries the negative charge, there will be a ionic interactions. That means this metal is carrying a positive, this blue color one is the metal, and this green color ones are the ligands, right? So here the ligands must carry either of the charge, means a lone pair of electron, or negative charge. So uh, if the ligand is carrying a negative charge, and there will be a interaction. What is the interaction? The cation, means metal is carrying a positive ion, and ligand is carrying a negative ion. So ion attractions will be there. And if ligand carrying a lone pair of electrons, and then what kind of interactions takes place is ion. This ion means metal is carrying a positive charge, that is the ion, and this is having a lone pair of electrons. So there will be a ion dipole attractions will be takes place between the central metal cation and the neutral ligands. And the negative charge of the ligands are repelled by the electrons of the metal ion. So this already we have learned. Once again I will explain this point. So here metal ion is having a already some of the electrons. For example, I am taking iron, right? Iron which is having a 26 electrons. That means in valency orbitals, what is the valency orbital means outermost orbitals are having how many electrons here? The 3d6 4s2, right? 3d6 4s2 electrons are there, and in its ionic states, means if it is participate in the bond formation with any other ligands in order to form a coordinate covalent coordinate complex. So iron must lose some of the electrons. Iron can form a iron plus 2 by losing the 2 electrons. These 2 electrons are iron plus 3 also. So most probably we will see the iron molecule in the plus 2 oxidation states and plus 3 oxidation state. So if it loses 2 electrons, means it is losing the 2 electrons from the 4s orbital. So what is the remaining electrons? 3d6 4s, 0 electrons will be there. And if in case of iron is carrying a plus 3 oxidation state, so it is losing a 2 electrons from here and 1 electron from here. So what are the remained number of electrons? 3d5. So these electrons, whatever the remained electrons are there, these electrons will be repulsed. For example, I am drawing this d orbitals. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 electrons, right? So if this is a ground state electronic configuration of iron plus 3, right? Iron plus 3 ground state electronic configuration. And after rearrangement of the electrons, means when the ligand approaches to the central metal cation, so the rearrangement of the electrons will be takes place in order to provide a empty orbitals to the ligands, right? So these 5 electrons will be rearranged in this way. So here 2 empty orbitals are formed, right? So one s orbital and 3 p orbitals. So total 6 empty orbitals are there, and these 6 empty orbitals are converted into a hybridized orbitals, and they are forming a bonds with the ligands. So whatever these electrons are there, inner electrons are there in the 3d orbital. So these electrons will be repulse the electrons by the means any ligand. For example, here I am taking carbonyl group. So this carbonyl group is donating the electron pair to this empty orbital of the ligand, right? Sorry, metal. So it is also donating the pair of electrons, and for this orbital also donating the pair of electrons. So like this they will donating the pair of electrons, but already this d orbital is having a and some of the electrons here, and these are the electrons, and these are also negative charged species only electrons. So this there is a repulsions will be takes place between this 3D electrons of the central metal cation and the electrons donated by the ligands. So there will be a repulsions takes place here, and increases the energy of the orbitals of metal ion. So it results whatever these ligands are repelled by the negative charges of the ligands are repelled by the electrons of metal ion, and which results in the struggle there will be increasing of the energies of the orbitals. So whatever the 5d orbitals are there in the metal ion, these orbitals will be increases, the energy of the metal orbitals will be increases, and we know that at high energy level the metal gets unstable. So energy should not increase, right? Energy should not increase, but here the energy is increasing, the energy of the orbitals of metal ion will be increasing, and this results they will lose the degeneracy form. Means degenerate condition means what is a degeneracy is all the 5 orbitals of the metal ion, all the 5d orbitals of the metal ions are having a equal energy in the absence of ligands, but when the ligands are approaches to the central metal cation, so there will be a struggle takes place here, there will be a repulsions takes place, and it is results the increasing the energy, and because of increasing the energy whatever the 5d orbitals are there, they lost their degeneracy form, means the energy levels will be different. So this results the electric field will be generates around the central metal cation, and this electric field is called as the crystal field. And why the how the crystal field is forming here? Because there is a means ionic interactions or ionic dipole interactions are taking place between the central metal cation and the ligands, and whatever the electrons are present in the central metal cation which repels the electrons of the ligands here. So because of this repulsions the energy will be increases around the central metal cation orbitals, and the orbitals gets a high energies, and which results the electric field generated by this ligands around the central metal ion, and this is called as the ligand field effect or crystal field. Okay, crystal field. And here if we see here the ligands are approaching to the central metal cation along the x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So if we consider, means if we take this as a, if we consider it is a x-axis, and this will be a y-axis, and this will be a z-axis. So through the axis only the orbitals are coming, right? They are approaching to the central metal cation, and when these ligands are approaching to the central metal cation, and whatever the orbitals are present on this axis, they will get more repulsions actually, means they participate in the repulsions, so they get the high energy, and the other orbitals which are in between this axis, those orbitals gets the less energy. And here we need to know the structures of the d orbitals actually, and the structure of the d orbitals are double dumbbell shape, and here this is x-axis and y-axis. On these orbitals are on x-axis and y-axis, and these orbitals are in between the x-axis and y-axis. You can see here these orbitals are in between the x-axis and y-axis. Now this will be z axis and this will be the x axis. So on the means on same axis the orbital lobes are present in this way. So these are called as the d x square z square orbitals, and the some of the orbitals lobes are in between the x and z axis. These orbitals are called as the dxz orbital. And now this is y axis and z axis, and if the lobes are present on the axis, okay, on the axis, these are called as a dy square z square orbital. And if the lobes are in between the axis y axis and z axis, these are called as the dyz orbitals. So now these orbitals are in between the axis they are present, and these orbitals are along the axis they are present. And now we can see the formation of dz square orbital. So this is the dz square orbital actually, and it is dx square y square, and this is the dxy orbital. Now the dxz orbital. These are the 3D orbitals of the central metal cation, and all the metals are having this kind of orbital composition. So this orbital, some of the orbitals are having a electrons, and some of the orbitals will be empty. So whatever the orbitals are having the electrons, that orbitals will repulse the electrons donated by the ligands. So those orbitals gets the more energy, and the remaining orbitals gets the less energy. So this is the structure means orbital composition in a metal central metal cation. And the splitting of the d orbitals takes place in the octahedral. So as a result means as the energy increases. So I'm taking a one black screen. So as the result, the energy increases, and I'm taking any central metal cation. For generally, I'm taking metal, and this metal is having a d orbitals. 5d orbitals are there, and the first one is this one is the dxy orbital, and this one is a dyz orbital, and this one is a dzx orbital, and this one is a dx square y square orbital, and this one is a dz square orbital. So since the metal in the absence of ligands, all these 5 orbitals are the same energy level. That means this state is called as the degeneracy state. Degeneracy state means what? The all the orbitals are having a same energy level is called as the degeneracy state of the central metal ion. So this is in the absence of the ligands. But when the ligands are approaches to the central metal cation, when the ligands are approaches to the central metal cation with equal speeds actually, okay, with equal speeds, then the repulsions will be takes place, means the energy of all the 5d orbitals will be increases actually, sorry, increases. And here also they are not losing the uh, degeneracy state. So this is the degeneracy state too. At high energy level also they are having a same energy, same energy, but energy has been increased here. Has been increased. But when the ligands are approaches to the central metal cation, and when the ligand field effect will be takes place, means there will be a repulsion takes place. For example, if we consider this is a x-axis and this is a y-axis and this is a z-axis. So which orbitals are present on the lobes, actually which orbitals are present on the axis actually? So the dxy x square y square orbital is present on the axis, right? And dz square orbital is also present on the axis. So whatever the orbitals are present in the dx square y square, dx square x square y square, so this is, yeah, one more low, dx square y square, this is the dx square y square, and these orbitals are along the axis, and dz square means here this one, and in between another one, so this z square. So these orbitals are having a more repulsions because they're repelling the electrons of the ligands. So because of that reason these orbitals are gaining a more energy than the whatever the orbitals are present in between the x-axis and y-axis. Those are the dxy orbital, dyz orbital, dzx orbital. These orbitals are in between the axis. These are not along the axis, not on the axis. These are the in between the Cartesian axis actually. Cartesian axis actually. But these two orbitals are on the axis, right? On the axis. And these two are the on the along the x and y axis, and the dz square is the along the z axis. So these orbitals means after increasing the energy, after reaching the this maximum energy, then to stabilize, in order to stabilize, they will split into the two types of the orbitals. One will be the E2G orbitals and another one will be the EG orbitals. And this splitting is called as the crystal field splitting. The crystal field splitting. Crystal field splitting. And what is the crystal field splitting? Because of the generation of the crystal field or electrical energy generated between the central metal cation and the ligands due to repulsions are taking place between the orbitals of the central metal cation and the electrons donated by the ligands. So there will be a splitting of the d orbitals will be taking place here. They are splitting into a two types, E2G orbitals and EG orbitals, and this is called as a crystal field splitting. So this crystal field splitting means we have the three types of the complexes. What are the three types of the complexes are, uh, as we seen earlier, the means we have three types of the complexes. So as per the coordination numbers, right? If the coordination number is 6, then this type of the complexes are called as the octahedral complexes, right? octahedral complexes Octahedral complexes. And if the coordination number is 4, there are the two possibilities are there. One possibility is tetrahedral complexes. The results, the tetrahedral complexes, and square planar complexes also. Square planar complexes. we already seen these complexes, and they are on the based on the this is having a D2sp3 hybridization, which will give the octahedral complexes, and tetrahedral complexes will give the sp3 hybridization, and square planar complexes are having a DSP2 hybridization. DSP2 hybridization. So these three types of the complexes we have, and uh, let us discuss the splitting of the d orbitals in the coordination number 6, that means in octahedral complexes, and the splitting of the d orbitals takes place in the tetrahedral complexes, and the splitting of the d orbitals will takes place in the square planar complexes also. So the first one is the splitting of the d orbitals, how the splitting of the d orbitals are taking place in the octahedral complexes. And since this is a 3D orbitals in the free metal ionic state. Free metal ionic means what? Here free metal ionic means there is a absence of ligand. There are no ligands are there. So this is the free metal ion. There are no ligands are there, and they are having a less energy, very less energy, and because of this less energy, it is a stable one. But when the ligands are approaches to the central metal cation, here there are no ligands are there. No ligands, zero ligands are there. But when the ligands are approaching to the central metal cation, approaching to the central metal cation in this way, approaching the central metal cations, okay, in this way, at certain distance they are not come closer, actually they are approaching to the central metal cation, the energy of all the 5d orbitals will be increases. But here also the energy of all the 5d orbitals are same, but in this high energy level they are not getting the stable ones, means stability. So because of that reason they lose their degeneracy, and they are converting into the two types of the orbitals called T2g orbitals and EG orbital. T2g orbitals means it is a triply degenerated form. Triply degenerated. Triply means the three orbitals, and the degenerated means the three orbitals are having a same energy level. And doubly degenerated, EG is nothing but the doubly degenerated, and doubly degenerated, double means two, right? Two. And degenerate means they are having a same energy level. If the two orbitals are having a same energy level, that is called as the doubly degenerated. If the three orbitals are having the same energy level, that is a triply degenerated. And this dxy orbitals, dyz orbitals, dzx orbitals are comes under the T2g orbitals, and these are having a same symmetry also. So Eg orbitals are dz square orbitals and dx square y square orbitals. And see here, these orbitals are present along the axis actually, and along the axis only ligands are approaching here, so that these Eg orbitals are fighting against the electrons of the ligands, right? So because of that reason, these Eg orbitals are getting more energy than the T2g orbitals here. So this kind of the splitting takes place in the d orbitals of metal ion in octahedral complexes. And see here, this is the structure of the, means this is the central metal cation, and in the central metal cation the ligands are approaching to the central metal cations with the equal speeds. And let us take, this is an x-axis and this is an y-axis and this is an z-axis, right? So here dx square y square orbitals are along the axis only. This orange color balls are the which indicates the ligand orbitals, and this blue color ones are the orbitals of the metal, right? Central metal cation. And this dx square y square orbitals, how they are there, how they are present, they are, all the four lobes are along the axis, x axis and y axis, right? X axis and y axis, all the four lobes are there, and these four lobes are directly repelling the orbitals of the this ligands, right? So because of this reason, these orbitals are increasing their energy level, increasing their energy level. And similarly, the dz square also, these orbitals are along the axis, and whatever the ligands are approaching on the axis, z axis, these two orbitals, these two lobes are repelling the two lobes of the two orbitals of the ligand here. So that is the reason these two orbitals, means eg orbitals, are acquiring more energy. And if we see the triply degenerated, means T2G orbitals here, these are the Eg orbitals. These two are the Eg orbitals, and these three are the T2G orbitals. So if we see here, this T2G orbitals, means dxy, dyz and dzx orbitals, are they in between the Cartesian axis. They are not along the axis. So they are not along the axis, they are in between the axis. So there is no direct repulsions are there. Means these orbitals are directly not repelling the ligands. Some of the effect will be there, but there is no direct repulsions are there. So because of that reason, they are having a less energy. And now the tetrahedral complex. So for the tetrahedral complex, in order to understand the structure of the tetrahedral complex here, this tetrahedral complex is actually having uh, so this kind of the structure, right? We know this kind of the structure. So we cannot understand this structure by looking like this, because the two bonds, so this bond and this bond, whatever the these two bonds are there on the same plane, these two bonds are perpendicular to the these two bonds. Okay, this two bonds are on the plane, and this bond is towards the observer, and this bond is backside the this compound. So that is the reason these two bonds are always perpendicular to these two bonds. So we cannot understand the structure easily. So if we keep the tetrahedral compound in a one cube, three-dimensional cube, it looks like this. So this is the central metal atom. So this one is a central metal atom, central metal atom or ion. Okay, central metal ion, and these four are the ligands. So this is the coordination number 4, right? Coordination number is 4, and for coordination number 4 we are discussing tetrahedral complex. So this is a central metal cation, and these 2 points, these 4 points are considered as the ligands. If you see here, this is the x-axis, this is the x-axis, this is the x-axis, and this is the z-axis, and this will be the y-axis. So this will be y-axis here, this will be y-axis, y-axis, and this will be z-axis. If you see here, there is no ligand is approaching the central metal cation through the along the axis, Cartesian axis. So all the ligands are approaching the central metal cation in means not along the axis, but in between the axis they are approaching. So that is the reason. See here, this picture is clear. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis, and this is the cube which is having means coordination complex. So these ligands are approaching in this way, but where is the actual axis? This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, this is the z-axis. So all the ligands are approaching the central metal cation in between the axis only, but not along the axis. So what are the orbitals are present in between the axis? The dxy orbital, dz orbital, dzx orbitals, and these orbitals are present in between the axis here, and they directly repulse the electrons of the ligands, means orbitals of the ligands, so that the energy of these triply degenerated orbitals, means dxy, dyz and dzx orbitals, will be increases, and whatever the orbitals are there along the axis, along the z-axis and x-axis and y-axis, the energy of these two orbitals will be decreases. So EG orbitals energy will be decreases and T2G orbitals energy will be increases. And this is the energy barrier. This is the energy barrier, and this is represents with the delta T. And while the octahedral complexes will be represents with the delta O. So the delta O is always having a 4 by 9 times of delta T. So this is the uh, point we need to remember here. So delta naught is having, means having a higher energy than the delta T. So how many times? 4 by 9 times of energy is more than the delta T, means tetrahedral complexes. So the next complexes will be for the coordination number 4. For the coordination number 4, the square planar complexes, and which are having a D2 DSP2 hybridization. And since here if the metal ion is free, there is no ligands are approaching to the central metal cation, and all the five orbitals of the metal ion is having the same energy level. So this is the degeneracy state of the metal ion. And if the ligands are approaching the central metal cation with the equal distances, then the metal energy will be increases, right? The metal energy will be increases, and first they will be split into the two types, that is the T2G and EG orbitals. So if you see the structure of the molecule, uh, structure of the molecule here, there is a central metal cation, means what is the difference between the octahedral complex and this square planar complex is, this is a octahedral complex, right? So this is a octahedral complex. In octahedral complex, all the ligands are approaching the central metal cation in along the axis only. So similar way, this four orbitals are on the same plane, and this bond is above the plane and this bond is below the plane. And the same thing here for the square planar geometry. Okay, this is the square planar geometry. So which is very much similar to the this octahedral complex only. So these are the ligands, and all the five are on the same plane only. So as the picture represent here, this picture, so all are on the same plane only thing is there is no orbitals, there is no ligands are approaching through the z axis above the plane and below the plane. So if we keep the orbitals here, then it will become a octahedral complex. So there is no orbitals are there. So it will become a, if we remove these two, then it will become a square planar geometry, square planar molecule, and this is a octahedral, right? Octahedral. And this square planar geometry, it is up to here the octahedral complexes, means same for the octahedral complexes and the square planar geometry because of this structure similarity. And after that, if you see here, there is no, since there is no z axis here, right? There is no z axis. There is, means z axis is there, but there is no orbitals are uh, present in the z axis. There are no ligands are approaching. There are no ligands are approaching. So from where the ligands are approaching, if we see here, so let us take, this is the x axis, this is the x-axis, this one, and two ligands are approaching to the central metal cation along the x-axis, and through the y-axis also the two ligands are approaching to the central metal cation. Through the z-axis there are no ligands are approaching the central metal cation, right? So here there are the orbitals are there, means what are the orbitals are there now? So, ligands means on the x-axis and y-axis, what are the orbitals are there? So, this dx square, y square orbitals are there, and they are having a more energy, more repulsions will be there. And in between the dx means this x and y-axis, what are the orbitals will be there? The dxy orbitals are there, and they are having a equal energy with the dyz orbitals also, dyz sorry, d xy orbitals and xy orbitals, not x sorry, so dxy orbitals are there. And then after dxy orbitals, means this xy orbitals are in between the this x-axis and y-axis. That's why this xy dxy orbitals are having a more repulsions, right? And then the next two orbitals will be the dx dx means it is surrounded by the dxz orbital and dyz orbital. These two orbitals are having the same energy level, and in between these two orbitals, so there is a little effect on the dzx dz square also. So this is having a higher energy than this dxy orbital, and then dz square orbital, and then these two orbitals. So let us see now here, the x square y square means Eg orbitals are having a two types Eg. So those are the dx square y square orbitals as well as dz square orbitals, right? So these two orbitals are split together, and it will form a dx square y square orbital is having a more energy than the z square. And here dxy is having a more energy because they are adjacent to the this axis, right? And dxz orbitals, xzy or z orbitals means they are in between the x axis and z axis, and yz orbital means they are in between the y axis and z axis. So they are having a least probability to repels the orbitals of the ligand, and further splitting will be takes place, so in such a way that the dx square y square orbital is having a higher energy than the xy orbital, than the z square orbital, and then the dxz and yz orbital. So this is taking place, the splitting of the d orbitals are taking place in a square planar complexes, and these are the examples for the square planar complexes. The next one is the spectrochemical series, and the spectrochemical series is one of the very important thing in the uh, crystal field theory actually. So in the spectrochemical series will explains, means the strong field means the ligands will this is one of the drawback of the valency bond theory also. In order to explain that drawback, this crystal field theory, Bethe and Van Vleck, they have given the spectrochemical series also. So as per this spectrochemical series, some of the ligands are having a strong field means larger enthalpy values also, and short wavelength also means strong field ligands are having two types of the ligands will be there. One is the strong field ligands and another one is the weak field ligands. And for the strong field ligands there will be a larger enthalpy and shorter wavelength, and they are the strong bonds they will be formed, and they form the stable complexes also. And whatever the complexes are having a weak field ligand, so weaker field ligands are having a smaller enthalpy values and longer uh, bond length and wavelength values also. So this is about the spectrochemical series of the which was explained by the crystal field theory.